The Buzzsaw fountain is essentially moving from, just like a weave fountain, where you're in an overhand weave on this side, and then you turn 90 degrees and you're an underhand weave on this side. The Buzzsaw fountain is the same basic thing. You're an overhand buzzsaw here, and then what you're doing is you're turning to underhand buzzsaw here. And then you're turning to overhand buzzsaw here, and you're turning to underhand buzzsaw here. That's all you do is, right? The question is, how do you do the transition from over to under? The problem, of course, is you can't see because my body is in the way. And so I'm not 100% sure how to teach this effectively. I'll try a 3/4 angle. So let me show you first. If I'm here overhand, I'm gonna come down and then I'm gonna come across here and come up to underhand on this side. Now the problem is the part of it that's most important is the part that's down there in front of my body. I'll show you from the side because that might be the most informative. Here, I'm overhand. If I look to my right. If I take my left hand and flip it from the inside plane to the outside plane, I can then separate them both. You've moved your left hand to the outside of the arm. Then you take the two arms and you put them side by side. If you were to look at this in front of you, you would see a clockwise split time lockout, but just really close together like this, down here, right? So it's briefly doing that. That's the first half. Then the second half is you take your right hand, which is overhand here, on this side of the arm, right? And then you have to switch it because you're turning that way to this side of the arm relative to your body. The basic thing is we're doing another figure eight. If you look at this thing that you did a little while ago, another way to look at it is you're taking that and you're bringing it down here like this. You could try that and see if that works. For a small number of people, that is effective. Your short poi, you're trying to go into a clockwise corkscrew. That's short. Start by going into a big one where it's going above your head. And then when you're ready, come in toward your face just above your arm and split your timing. Or if you were going above your head, you could just split your timing down here and boom, you're in there. From this here, bending down, bending down, bending down, bending down, bending down, bending down, bending down. And you want to go two ways. You want to go down, but you also want to go up. And what you're doing is you're shooting for the inside plane. The inside plane is between you and you. So this is an obvious inside plane. It's between my two arms. This is also an inside plane. It's between my hip and my arm. This is also an inside plane. It's between my head and my arm. This is also an inside plane because the top of your head is the top of the box, and it's between the top of your body and the top of your arm. This is technically also an inside plane. The bottom plane is always inside. So you're working with moving from the inside plane between you and you to the outside plane with both poi in both directions in figure eights, both down there and up here like this, because that's what's going to make this one, which is what allows you to go from this to this. So the triple layer cake is what I just did on this plane. You use the corkscrew to go from one to the other, from one to the other, from one to the other, So the same thing up here. You use the corkscrew to go from one to the other, from one to the other, from one to the other. The basic drill down here, if you wanted to do it one-handed, would be practicing going from the outside to the inside. And you can go outside to inside, I guess whichever way makes you feel good is the way I would recommend. But I think just practicing the figure eight with both hands is a great drill to start with. But I mean, I think all of the figure eights are great drills to start with, so why would this be any different? This is not the same. because this is on the side plane versus on the front plane. So you want to make sure that when you do it, you're not at some in-between nebulous spot here, which could be front plane or could be side plane. Be at 6 o'clock in front of you down here. This is a really nice exercise to help you, and it leverages something that you know, but it's not what I consider to be the easiest way to get there necessarily. But if it worked for you, I wouldn't want my bias, just because it was easier for me to do it a different way doesn't mean it will be for you. So I didn't want to assume my bias. I wanted to offer you the opportunity to get something that I couldn't get when I tried it. So for the two of them to put together, you can come down from your overhand buzzsaw like this. And then when you get to the point where you're at your right leg here, now I'm going to make it wider than it should be. You're going to take your left one and put it there, and then take your right one and put it there, and you'd be in the underhand buzzsaw on this side. It's just that in real life, you want to really be doing that much closer to here at 6 o'clock rather than skipping over the width of my hips. I just wanted you to be able to see what the result was. So then you're underhand here, and then you come up and you do the same thing where you go to here, and you're back to overhand. All you do is, I mean, would it be helpful if you saw it from this angle? I mean, this is totally buzzsaw, 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 buzzsaw. Okay, I'm changing sides, but now it's underhand buzzsaw on this side, and now it's overhand buzzsaw on this side. I guess it depends on how you consider your orientation. To me, I experience this when I'm standing here looking to my right, that is forward facing to me, but I'm still orienting it on the plane that's perpendicular to your line of sight. So it may look like the front plane to you, but that's not how I personally relate to the kinesthetics of it. But that's because I feel myself in the T stance here. So it depends on how you execute the move. If you executed it more like this, that would be more of a front plane move, I feel like. But I'm doing that with the V stance, and in that instance, I'm engaging with it as a clockwise front plane flower of sorts, versus when I do it in the more exaggerated way with the body, I do relate to that as a side plane movement, not a front plane movement, because it's not all on the front plane. It's definitely on the side at certain points, from my perspective. In order to get your hands that far across, you have to rotate the crossing hip more to get there. You can't, let me rephrase. I have to, maybe you don't. For my physiology, I have to rotate more, which is why I think it feels like a side plane move. Inside plane move, but side plane nonetheless.